going on, everybody? Andrew here, and I wanted to do a rundown. I just made some pretty significant changes on my board, and I wanted to give you guys a rundown and essentially go through my ideology of what I do when I do a board, basically signal flow choices, play everything for you. Also, I've been using this new Boss BCB 1000 board, which is really great for going to shows, traveling, and it's designed to go on, in an airplane overhead, and it has a handle and wheels. It's really like a great build. I did some things to modify it, which I'll talk about also. And yeah, let's just get started here. So one thing to note about this board is it lives inside this road case here, okay? So as you can see at the beginning, I was able to take the lid off. The lid goes right on and it has wheels and a handle. The other thing that I did with this board, while it is at an angle, is I got myself basically a piece of plastic that was, I think it was like 18 inches wide, and it's maybe like a little less than a half of an inch thick. And I've got that dual locked here on my back row just to raise these back row pedals up a little bit. The Friedman power supply is underneath. I'll cut to a shot of that. And I have things, kind of wired up and, tied down the best I can. The wireless is the beginning of the chain, and this wireless also has a 1/4 inch in if you want to bypass the wireless part of it. And then it just goes out of the flint. I don't have any kind of interface or anything like that. Like an input-output interface. I don't feel the need for it. And then this power cable is, the power on this pedal board is a little weird. You got to put the power supply underneath, and then they left you this little hole. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. Most, pedal boards have a place for the power supply to be visible a little bit, or like protruding, so that you can put your IEC cable in. Like it gives you a little slot, like Pedal Train has the thing, you can like put it at the back. So I got basically like a very small male to female IEC adapter, and I just have this thing kind of hanging out. And then when I pack it up, I put it over like this, and I put the case on. And then this way, like I can just bring a regular IEC cable and just plug it in. That was my workaround. I didn't really see that anywhere. So if anybody gets this pedal board, I can, kind of recommend doing that. It costs like a couple bucks on Amazon or something like that. The first thing up on my board is I have this Shure wireless unit. This is a new unit that I just got. I just did a video on it not that long ago, and I just took it overseas to the Middle East. And I've got this mounted on my board now, and it has a tuner on it as well, which works really, really well. I find that it picks it up almost as good as my Sonic Research tuner. I'm really been enjoying it. And the wireless unit works like a charm. So that thing needs 9 volts at 400 milliamps. So I have a Friedman Power Grid 10 powering the board, which has 350 milliamp outs. So I am using 2 of them with a Voodoo Lab current doubler. And I have that, it's sending 700 to it, which is more than enough. And it's working great so far. So second in line is the Digitech drop pedal. I love having this pedal on here. It used to be something that I would just bring sort of per gig, but I feel like it's a good idea to leave it on in case I need it. What I use this for mostly is to drop my guitar down a half step or a whole step. And it does it really, really well without you having to retune your guitar. Obviously it's not perfect, but it sounds pretty good. So this is like the regular guitar. And this is with it drop down a half step. And I find that it goes all the way down to like an octave below. Once you, here's a whole step down. Still sounds pretty good there, and once you start going a little lower, like let's go, I don't even know, let's go down. It also does a split octave, which is kind of cool. So, cool pedal to have on the board. Next up, I have the Dry Bell Vibe Machine, which is just a nice Univibe. have that changed from the stock settings. It's got some trim pots on the side. I don't change anything. I just alter the speed. Honestly, I leave the intensity the same all the time too. Just gives you a little wobble. So then I get into my gain staging, okay? So it goes wireless, drop, vibe machine, and then I get into my gain staging. I've got 2 gain pedals that I use. I've been through so many gain pedals, and I have to tell you, at this point, I really gravitate toward the same things. I have one that I like to set at a little bit of like a lower gain setting, and that has more of like a mid character, like a tube screamer. And the other one is more of a higher gain kind of thing. And this one just happens to be a Winford drive. This is based on like a Rat. I've found that I like, Rat designs and kind of like amp in the box style pedals. When I'm playing live, 99% of the time I actually have this Winford drive on into a clean amp, and then I use my guitar volume to clean up to like a semi-grit. I don't really ever go fully clean unless I'm playing something like super funky, and then I'll turn both pedals off. And then I have the tube screamery, type pedal, which is this precision multi-drive, boosting into the Winford for like a higher gain and a solo kind of thing, because it has a little bit more cut. Sometimes I'll do the tube screamer by itself too. So I'll show you just about everything right now. So let's go just for the tube screamer by itself. This is with no pedal. Now let's move to the Winford drive. That cleans up relatively well too. I find that it all sort of cuts live, and then when you stack both of them together, it gets a little more high gain. The next pedal up is the Boss GE7 equalizer. So this is just really a solo boost. You can do a bunch of different stuff with it, I suppose, but I really just use it as a solo boost. In doing this, I'm not really bumping the volume per se, really at all. I'm not bumping the level. I'm bumping the 800 and a little bit of 1.6 and a little bit of 6.4 to get the high end to cut through a little bit. So it really, really works live. I find that it's really, really effective. It's really just to bump your volume up. Get those mids to kind of cut through. All right, the next pedal up here is the Analog Man Chorus. Through a bunch of different chorus pedals, and I have a video on how I used to use the Boss CH1, which I really like, but I ended up getting rid of. And I got back into using the Analog Man. Just a super nice chorus sound, exactly what I'm looking for there. Okay, moving on, we have a delay pedal, the Strymon Brigadier delay. It's like their take on an analog style delay, like a Memory Man. I have had a lot of different delay pedals, almost as many as I've had gain pedals. I've been through just about everything with delays. I've got this because I was liking the tape echo thing. I wanted it to be like a little more mellow. I think I ended up getting the small Brig first when it came out, like their smaller version. And I missed the tap tempo. I missed having the tap tempo on the side. I know the Brig has tap tempo built in, but it was just like a little confusing for me to use live. This thing is amazing. It really blends in with your dry tone really well, and it really just works live. It's no surprise that guys like Tom Bukovac talk about this pedal. being kind of a sleeper, because it really is. So I'll also add that I really kind of like to leave my settings the same a lot of the time and just change guitars, or like change the volume knob on the guitar. And I kind of like to leave my pedals set are usually the same and just find a really good setting and kind of leave it there. One thing I do with the Brigadier is that I do use the tempo to get like a slapback thing, and then I kind of revert back to like a long delay. This is the delay where it lives most of the time. I would call this like a medium delay. Nice delay, and then a slap, just 2 little taps on there. Kind of just one delay that does everything. I used to mess around with multi-delays and delay settings and like different kinds of delay, and I do think that there's a time and place for that, you know, maybe. But I really am more interested in getting one delay that's kind of like a nice like amalgamation of all of those different qualities. Like it's a little digital, it's a little analog, it's out of the way, but you can also hear it, and it like works for swells, and the mix level is just high enough that it works for stuff like that, but it's just low enough that it stays out of the way. The Strymon Flint is the last pedal that's on here. I use the reverb on almost all the time. The reverb's been on this whole time. So here it is with no reverb. And just a little plate. So there is that, that's the plate. And then the tremolo, I also use all the time. I really have grown to love it. I've got it on the middle setting, the tube setting. Throw a little delay in there too. Throw the drop in there. Let's go down to E flat. Another thing just to mention about order and why, you know, order decisions that I made. Having the wireless first is obviously you have to, so the tuner is first. I like to put my tuners first. I find that it gets the clearest guitar signal. The drop pedal is next because I like to let it have the clearest signal possible after that. Univibe is after that because I like my vibes and stuff before my drives. That's just something that I like. I like vibe and phase would be before my drives. Also, you'll notice the equalizer with the boost is after my drives. That's because it's meant to be a volume boost, so it's going to boost up volume for my leads. If you put it before your gain, it would only boost up saturation. It's another kind of thing to note. My chorus pedal is after all my gain pedals because I like chorus after gain. That's another debatable thing. I've tried it both ways, and I prefer it to be after the gain. I like the tremolo to be last after the delay and last after everything to kind of simulate what it would be like if it was coming from the amp. I've tried tremolo pedals before my gain. I've tried tremolo pedals before my delay. I've tried all the different options, and that's kind of why I'm letting you know just this is what I like, and you should, you know, give everything a shot, basically. All right, so thanks so much for stopping by. If you enjoy guitar-related content, please subscribe to the channel, check out my other videos. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button and comment with any kind of way that you like to have your pedal board. Maybe a certain kind of power supply, a certain kind of board that you like, or a certain order of effects that you like that you think that we should all try. I'm always down to experiment. And as guitar players, we should be always super open to experiment because you never know what could happen and what could kind of strike some inspiration. So I'm going to play you guys out, and I will see you around.